Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Wandering Stars, written by Vas_. Somewhere where the stars don't shine, in some backwater region of the galaxy, a dilapidated spaceport silently floats in the darkness of interstellar space along the hyperway route 969, as one might expect a midway stop. It's a bar filled with alien patrons, some stranger than others. Most of them crews of haulers enjoying a brief respite from the dullness of space travel, on long journeys hauling cargo all over the galaxy, that way or the other. Roused by heavy thumps of footsteps, a few jubilant patrons turn to look at an alien passing through the hazy bar. The stranger, more alien than expected, stirs out looks and whispers around as it walks towards the table at the far end of the bar. The raucous hauler crew celebrating something at the table goes silent when the alien reaches their table. After making sure that they are members of a specific red Q-stock hauler at the central dock, the alien produces a tablet from under its jacket and shows a picture of an alien ship and asks if they have seen any ships like it. Crew members exchange looks before one of them takes the pad and takes a closer look. One of them looks at the picture. Their three eyes carefully scan the screen as a pair of tendrils flick at the pad screen, zooming in and out. One by one, each of them looks at the picture, gesturing their ignorance. Swallowing his frustration, the stranger grits his teeth, taking the tablet and puts it back inside his jacket. Carefully articulating, he asks if there be any work on the hauler, heavily implying he's aware of the hauler's destination and merely interested in getting where they're going. The table breaks into a clamor of whispers as the crew consults each other. After a moment, one of them turns to the stranger and asks where he's from. "Too far for you to know," the stranger says, trying to avoid the question, but the crew presses on, asking of his origins and name. However, the only piece of information they manage to pry from the stranger is his name, Zai. In his mind, Zai had tried a long time ago to come up with something to say when pressed with questions like these, but truth be told, he didn't have the answers. All he has as a clue for his past are some distant memories of faces of people like him whose names he can't remember, and the picture of the ship where he first woke up. His real name, too, is a mystery. Zai is just what pirates had named him during his captivity. After his escape, he learned the meaning of his name was pirate slang for rodent, but he stuck with it anyway. It was easy to remember, and the first name that he ever got since waking up. After a while, the crew rambling around the table comes into some kind of consensus. One of the crew members stands up, towering over Zai. The alien stares and sneers at him. He looks at Zai from head down to toe, appraising him. "Well, you too small, too weak for security," the hulking alien says bluntly, causing a few to chuckle, and sits back down. Chuckles die down when one of the crew members in the middle, the one with the distinct silent gravitas, stands up. He tosses a card at Zai over the table and tells him to go to the ship and find someone called Groznak. Sometime later, when Zai reaches the red Q-stock, he is greeted by a group of security guards by the ship. After a brief explanation, one of the guards calls someone to verify something. Soon after, two doors by the side of the ship slide open and a landing bridge extends out. One of the guards leads him inside the ship, where he is taken down dimly lit corridors of pipes and numerous airlocks that spaced at certain intervals. Finally, they reach a room with a large pane of glass separating the space from the vacuum of a massive cargo hold on the other side. That is filled with a seemingly endless sea of towering piles of cargo boxes that disappear into distant darkness. Cramped corridors and tiny crew spaces may mislead you to believe otherwise, but looking at the cargo hold, one can easily realize just how incomprehensibly large the ship is. The security guard leads Zai to an elevator and presses a button for him and leaves before the doors close. He ends up in a small office where a fat alien in a dirty suit sits in a chair chewing on a stick of Mentax, a popular drug. The entire office reeks of that sweet-smelling drug. The alien, clearly stoned out of his mind, stares at Zai in silence for an uncomfortably long time, until the reality before his eyes startles him back from the wonderland. The amphibian-looking alien, with a great big belly, laboriously gets up from his chair and lumbers towards Zai, and without stopping, walks right past Zai to the elevator without saying anything. Zai silently follows the alien, seeing that it feels like most natural not to say anything. In the elevator, he finally breaks the silence, asking the alien if he's Grosnak, to which the alien responds with a grunt and a vague gesture that seems like a nod. The one presumed Grosnak takes him to a loading area where the crew is taking in shipments of various items and packages and loading them into cargo boxes, which are taken away by massive robotic arms moving on rails in the ceiling.
You get 200 credits a month and food. Sign here.
Grosnak finally speaks with a bellowing voice and hands over the datapad displaying the contract. Knowing not what to do, Zai looks at the datapad confusingly.
Where's the pen? How do I sign?
Pen? Grosnak asks, seemingly confused, just the same.
Put your hand here and press the green button,
he continues. Zai does as he's told, and the device beeps. Grosnak takes the pad away and starts walking away.
Pen? What's his pen?
He mumbles, shaking his head. Zai's left to his own devices in the hall, where small crafts lifting boxes lie above, and workers, save for sparing a few odd glances, pass by, ignoring him. He sees a group of 3 workers looking at a pallet of boxes and talking. Not having the faintest clue what he is supposed to do, Zai walks to them and asks if he can help. The workers notice his approach, staring and whispering.
Hey, a new guy,
one of them exclaims. They tell Zai the box holding the boxes in the pallet was broken, so the small boxes needed to be loaded into a crate before they could be loaded into a cargo box. A seemingly simple task, and nothing seems strange about it. But something about the way they talk makes Zai suspect they're trying to trick him somehow. When 2 of the workers leave, with thinly veiled excuses, it becomes obvious they're just about to hand the job to Zai to worry about and slink off the scene themselves. Having no interest in playing games, Zai asks the remaining worker where he can get a lift, to which the worker chuckles mockingly. Gotta do it by hand, he says, leaving. Channeling his newly found disdain for the new acquaintances, Zai starts picking up the boxes and lugs them one by one into a nearby crate. While he's carrying the boxes, his mind drifts away to a place somewhere far away. Moments of his past come alive, and he can see himself lugging and hauling boxes same as now, but the setting is different. He is a soldier somewhere. He sees flashes of memories of him loading a box onto a vehicle somewhere that looks like a desert. There is someone with him who is just like him. They are joking and laughing while they lift a box onto the vehicle together. The man's face is a blur, and the words they speak are all muddle. No matter how hard he tries, he can't remember any details. The memory fades into black, and he sees something else. In his brain, scrambled with alien languages, constantly interjected into his thoughts by a chip, he sees something with his mind's eye. A word. He could almost physically feel his brain remembering this one all by itself, unlike words fed by the chip. It's a word in his own language. Human, he whispers under his breath. The chip in his brain doesn't seem to recognize the word, but he knows what it means. He can feel it. Human, Zai says to himself, smiling, as he lays down the last box down. Though it's merely a word, his heart is filled with elation. It feels good to say it. Human, he says, breaking into a fit of hearty laughter, wiping tears of joy from his eyes. His private celebration comes to an end when he notices a small crowd of workers gathering nearby. Zai wipes his sweaty face on a sleeve and goes to the crowd. As he approaches them, it occurs to him the crowd with dumbfounded faces is not just looking into his direction, but staring right at him. He sees one of the workers who left him with the job standing in the front row. The worker's demeanor was inexplicably changed. He seems wary, scared even. When Zai talks to him again, asking why they're staring, the worker points at something behind him and says, with a quivering voice, You were supposed to use the exos. Zai turns to look and sees the exoskeleton suits lined up in the side of the loading area.
They weren't that heavy,
he says dismissively.
No, not heavy. Those are 800 parsecs a box.
A voice in the crowd exclaims,
800? That's impossible.
Someone retorts. Months would pass after this introduction into the workforce, and he'd toil away in the cargo hold as the ship went from system to system, taking cargo in and out. He'd learn a thing or two about himself on the way, and many things about the world in general, but unfortunately, nothing of the one ship that he was looking for. However, as the hauler would draw closer to its destination, an unexpected encounter along the way would teach him that not all things lost are to be missed. End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Draxoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.